Today on Kapowcast, we'll be showing some love to comic book video games.
Kapowcast.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the groundbreaking, but not really, Kapowcast. With me once again, as always, Mr. Tony Vance.
Hi.
Also next to him is our good buddy Cody.
Hello.
And once again, Jeff has better things to do. No, I'm kidding. But so instead, we were joined by the Hulk himself, Mr. Mikey. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
All right.
Leave me alone.
All right. So real quick, once again, I just want to put out a thank you to everybody that's been liking our Facebook page, listening on SoundCloud. If you haven't yet, please share us. Let anybody you know that might be interested, even Grandma.
Sharing is caring.
Yeah, this might be a show for her. She might like it.
Grandma. Grandma, come here. I have something for you to listen to.
Is this Nintendo?
Good segue.
These boys sound so nice.
I remember when this was all trees.
Today we're going to be shifting gears a bit, steering a little bit out of the... It sounded like those ghosts you hang.
I thought it was a putty.
I was going more for like the Tokyo Drift sound.
Wrong crowd.
Oh,
Yeah.
wrong podcast. Sorry. Get my man ass out of here.
Today we're going to be looking at comic book video games.
Beep boop boop.
God, there have been a lot. There have been some really terrible ones over the years. Mikey just made a pyramid with his cans. He was very proud of it. There have been good ones. There have been bad ones. But today we're going to try to focus, try as hard as we can to focus on the good ones. So we're going to go around. We're going to discuss 2-3 of our favorites that might be on our mind. You okay over there?
Yeah,
Okay.
I had a little burp.
Okay.
I just got a burp. Come on, grow up, guys. Jeez.
You disgust me.
Ah, man.
So I think we're going to start... who wants to start this gravy train going? Cody does.
Cody.
All right.
He's anxious.
I haven't seen
Two
him.
pump chump.
I haven't seen him this inspired in ages.
Since I bought Labyrinth on
Early Labyrinth reference.
this is like more my thing, video games instead of comic books. But
But
the
still.
two coincide sometimes. And I'm just going to blow my load really quick with the best one.
That's
That's what
man.
she said.
Such a graphic description.
Yeah, let's not share this one with Grandma. No.
Hey, I don't know what your grandma's
What
like.
did he just say? Did he say something about semen? I met a semen once.
The Walking Dead games by Telltale Games.
I've never played it.
I never played him either.
Oh my god, none of you have?
No,
They're
no.
like the
Played-
old King's Quest, or not King's Quest, but
you
point
lost
and
me.
click adventures.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I played one with the kid, Clementine.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, I played that
Yep,
one.
that's
That
the
was
one I'm talking
actually-
about.
Wow,
It's
it
free to
was
play
really
actually
good.
on
Redbox.
iPhone or whatever. No, like you can free to download
Oh,
the first
okay.
episode.
On iPhone?
Yeah.
Oh,
It
guess
is
what?
so. It's such a good story too. It has that. It's kind of weird because it didn't come out until after the TV show it came out. So,
Yeah.
but it's based on the comic book. But it doesn't have this. It kind of similar art style, but you could tell they tried to tone it down a little bit. But it still gets on a lot of the dark topics that the comic book actually did.
I have one
Sure
question
does.
about this.
Shoot.
Does Shane die before they leave the
There
camp?
is. This is an entirely different. There's
Yeah.
This is an entirely different group of survivors. You'll run into.
Oh, so this is the next AMC show.
Yeah, right. This is before they even came up with that idea.
It's like a little. It's like a It's a set in the Walking Dead world, but it's different
Right.
characters. Yeah.
I just wanted to poke fun at, you know.
like Glenn is in the game for half a second, or like they mention it, or like someone mentions they knew a little Asian guy that jumped on roofs.
It must be Glenn. Surely there are no other Asian men jumping roofs.
In the South,
There was a ninja
in
once.
the South,
Good point.
in the South, I think it's a pretty. Good
I don't know
assumption.
what the population of Asians are in.
This is not.
Texas? You want to go with Texas?
Isn't it
If somebody
It
could
wasn't Texas, it
please
was
put
Atlanta.
Atlanta?
Yeah, so
if
Georgia.
somebody
come on.
could put that statistic on the comments, that would be
Yeah.
fantastic.
Someone correct us on that, but
T.I. has been released over in the Asian areas. T.I. The rapper? And he's
Okay.
from Atlanta. I'm sure there's a lot of Asians that went over to Atlanta going, "Where T.I. at? Where you at? I want to see T.I."
let's not do impressions. Let's not do caricatures.
It just sounds really racist. Okay, so I didn't expect. I just one I didn't even think of. Honestly,
Like I said, the first episode's free to play. I think anyone. It's not your standard video game, but it is an awesome story like that you play along with. I guess
You said it's a
it's an interesting
click to play thing?
it's free to play, but it's literally like the story is going on and you make the decisions for the character.
God, it's
oh,
like-
so it's like a choose your own adventure. I guess would be a
So
better.
it's
way.
like choose your own ending Goosebump books. Yeah,
Yes.
that's exactly what I'm looking for.
all right,
Yeah,
Mikey.
it works really well.
How about you? I know you have to have one in your spank bank.
You know, it
There's
is.
a lot of talk about semen.
I don't think I've played every single
I don't think anybody here has.
comic book based video game, but yeah, I remember playing like Maximum Carnage endlessly. I didn't own it, and I used to have to rent it from Blockbuster as a kid for Sega Genesis.
Yep.
And I think I had more money back then than I did now. So I just remember playing that every weekend I could. I would rent that and try to play it before Sunday night, or I think it was Monday. I had to be back or something.
Yeah.
Games were a lot tougher back then too.
I was
so
say you
I used
never
to.
made it past the first level, did you?
No, I made it past the first level.
He was the whiz.
It took all summer to get to like the rooftops 2 or 3 or something. I can't remember where I left off at, but yeah, that game was just it was back in the day when they couldn't make good comic book video games. Maximum Carnage stuck out like a beautifully sore thumb.
I actually remember it was kind of the same situation. I remember we rented it. Me growing up in a relatively large family, we didn't have money to just go spend willy-nilly on video games, so I remember renting it. But whenever I think of Maximum Carnage, the video game, it's actually not the video game that pops into my head. The actual game, I should say. The first thing that pops in my head about that game is actually the commercial for it.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you remember the commercial for it. I actually,
Sky
because
going red.
I knew we were going to be doing this today, I went back and I found it on YouTube, and it's awesome because the color's all saturated. It's like almost black and white. I think it's like black and white, and the sky's red, and it has this narration like chaos in the streets of New York City. It's describing New York and like all this before carnage, and the sky's red, and you just see this vision of carnage coming from the sky, and it's quite possibly one of the most terrifying moments of my childhood.
Yeah, I remember that poster being everywhere. There was a lot of marketing for that game.
They've even
in comic books.
Yeah,
there
they
was
were
a
at the back of
fold-out
comics.
poster of that Carnage over
I have a couple.
New York City.
I have the Maximum Carnage graphic
red
novel,
sky.
and they actually have that on the cover.
Really,
It's actually
That's
it's the
awesome.
cover of the Maximum Carnage comic book.
Does anybody know if the two were like coincided? Like the release of the game was going with the release of the comics at the time, or
I do not
Had to
know.
have been because you're talking early '90s. You're talking Sega Genesis, which
yeah.
I don't know if I'm right on all this, but I think the comic book Maximum Carnage, the comic book series, happened in the summer of '93. And then the video games came out in 94, 95.
That sounds right. That sounds kind of I
So
can see that.
after the big boom of the whole Maximum Carnage storyline.
Yeah, it kind of capitalized
now
on
that
it.
I'm thinking about it, there was another like a Maximum Carnage sort of spin-off game, Separation Anxiety.
I remember
the
that,
Spider-Man,
yeah.
Venom.
It had all the
Separation
different
Anxiety,
symbiotes in it.
which came out in 95. I think late 95, early 96 or something. And that was sort of based off of the game engine of Maximum Carnage. So I think Maximum Carnage did come out in 94.
Yeah, that game definitely, when I first thought of doing this...
Weird how nerds remember the 90s.
It's like non-flashbacks.
Yeah.
The first thing I always think of that game was definitely the commercial for it. Tony, how about you? I know you have some good ones.
I would have to say one of my tops is obviously it's a newer release was the Deadpool game.
Yeah.
Just an amazing,
I got a machine gun.
an amazing homage to the Deadpool character in the comic books, and just great, absurd fun to play.
It was a great just like button mash
Yeah,
type
it
of
was.
game, and I can't remember. There's not a lot of video games that I can. I mean, I'm not by any stretch of the imagination like a hardcore gamer, but there's not a lot of games I can sit there and think about where I openly was like laughing.
Yeah.
Like
When it turned 8-bit,
yeah.
she calls the producer, "What the fuck is this shit?"
I did love that game.
Yeah.
Although by the time you got to the end of it and you're trying to max out all your different guns and stuff like that, you got so tired of him spitting out those one-liners because he had
Right.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, I didn't get tired of it at all.
He had a few. He had what, like probably 10 or 15 or something like that.
Yeah, you know, there's always
And-
a certain bank of them.
And I'm like the achievement hunter kind of guy. I want to get
Jesus
every
Christ.
single
Yeah.
trophy. And
Yeah, I
stuff
know what
like
you
that.
mean.
I gotta get my gamer score at the
We're
top
on a
of
fucking
this.
comic book podcast. Can you judge?
It does sort of
Calm
limit
down.
the
Jeez, so
replayability of certain games like that.
My favorite thing about the Deadpool game was actually the ending. Spoiler alert ahead here. I'm assuming if you haven't gotten around to playing it, you probably have no interest in it anyway. So,
And why are you even listening to this
Yeah.
podcast?
but the ending where it's you're just fighting a bunch of sinister clones
Yeah.
for what feels like an eternity.
A long time. Probably
And
45 minutes.
It
You're
is
just
all,
like, when is this gonna end?
Yeah.
and it all essentially leads down to basically just kicking Mr. Sinister in the nuts and a giant sentinel foot crushing him. That's all. That's essentially what everything leads up to.
I love that
Anticlimactic is
Yeah.
what you're saying.
that part of the video game was you're just flying around in a Sentinel rocket boom.
Oh, jeez. I love how Cable popped in there a couple times, too.
Yeah, I love that the characters
Cable,
that
my
showed
boy.
up in there.
But one other thing that game did is it made me really, really want a Deadpool movie.
Oh,
which
yeah, of
thank Christ
course.
we're finally getting.
Yeah.
Who was it that did the voice for him? Was
Nolan
it-
North?
I was gonna say, was it Nolan North? Because I know he's done a lot of voice work like on the Batman Arkham
I was supposed
games.
to say, didn't he do the Joker?
Yes, he did. I think he did the Penguin as well.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's-
He's actually he's
Wow.
if you look him up on IMDb, he actually has a pretty impressive body of work.
Wow.
One comic book video game that I'm going to take it back old school that I just look back so fondly on is Turtles in Time.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
That game, so fantastic that
Side scroll heaven.
I believe,
Yeah.
was that the one they redid for Xbox?
Yeah.
For the Xbox store? That, I mean, that's just, it's nothing better.
My toe.
There's nothing better than getting 3 other friends together and being able to play as all 4 turtles and just smashing and just wheeling and dealing destruction all around.
Always being Donatello. 'Cause he's the
Oh,
best.
no, man, I was always Leonardo.
He's the best one, though.
I always
he had
go
the
for
longest
Raph.
reach.
Michelangelo.
I always go for
Look at
Raph.
that.
Well, shit.
Well, looks like we know what we're doing after this.
Yeah.
You know what? And actually, if I think about, like,
Yeah.
all of our personalities, every one of those picks kind of made sense.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
the smart one. We're fucked.
Mikey's a party dude.
Yeah.
Tony's got the temper.
Yeah.
And I like the color blue.
Raphael was cool but rude.
He was a dick. what he was.
Fuck you.
In the movies, especially, yeah.
Damn!
I really hated him in the. Well, I didn't hate him, but he was really annoying in the TMNT movie.
Yeah, he was a prick.
It was just like, dude, come on, don't be an asshole.
Wait, which one was it?
That was the CGI one that they had done.
Yeah, okay. He had the secret, the alter ego.
Yeah. The Night
Rider?
Night
Watch?
No, Knight Rider was a show with David Hasselhoff. But yeah, the Turtles in Time, like when I think of ultimate 90s nostalgia, nothing captures it more than the Ninja Turtles, let alone Ninja Turtles as a arcade style game.
Now, also on Ninja Turtles, and it came out around the same time. What was that fighting game that was Ninja Turtles where they went back in time? Does anyone remember that?
What?
It was a fighting. It was
a combat game?
Yeah, it was a... Does anyone remember that?
They went back in time?
They had like dinosaurs and stuff like that. And it was the worst fighting game ever. It was hard as shit.
I was too distracted by Turtles in Time.
Yeah, obviously. And they came out at the same time too. It was like
what system?
I played it on Genesis.
Wow, okay. This is...
I'm drawing a complete blank on anything else.
Yeah, because Turtles in Time was Super NES, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was cross-platform. But it was just horrible.
It was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters for Super NES.
Super NES and Genesis.
Okay.
It was...
I've never played
it actually looks like it's fighting a street shark on the cover.
Oh, it's awesome.
Probably was. Let's be honest.
Absolutely. All right, Cody, you're up again. How about another...
Oh, another comic book game. I did not get very far in this game, but I was one of those games that every time we would go to the video store, I had to rent it just because I was eventually going to beat it. Comic Zone.
What?
Huh?
Comic Zone.
Doesn't...
Really doesn't ring a...
Zone. I think I've heard of that.
It was based on comic books as a whole. It was literally a stereotypical 90s superhero.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
It's really 90s. It's long hair, sunglasses, jean shorts.
Totally rad-tastical main character. He hopped through the panels, or he'd like punch a bad guy and it would just fly across and rip a hole into the next panel. It was the hardest.
That sounds fantastic.
And it was, but I couldn't even get to the end of the first level. But this was the kind of dedication back in the day, you know, before our ADD riddled minds. I would rent that every weekend. I remember for a whole summer, and I couldn't get, and I just played that one level.
When summers were a year long.
I used to rent the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade edition for I think it was just regular Nintendo.
Oh yeah, was that the one where you start out in the burning building?
Yeah.
That one was super hard. I remember that.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I could play that forever.
Is that the one that had the underwater level where you try to defuse bombs?
No, that was the original
game they made for the Nintendo. That game was
They've had a lot of hard
ridiculously
games.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played that. I could get pretty far in that game, but yeah, you could only get so far until you learned, how to swear.
That's when I learned how to be frustrated and angry at the world.
I learned how to swear while I was playing Mega Man growing up. It just came to me. I just started knowing what swear words were in a cold basement. The TV hooked up to the Nintendo. All of a sudden, it was just like, cut, man, what?
All right. Tony, what would say your number 2?
Ooh, well, since you took one of mine.
Don't you dare do it.
I'm going to say Arkham City.
You motherfucker. Yeah. I'm so angry at you right now.
Man, doesn't it hurt?
It does.
Feel that betrayal?
I want to rip your tongue out from your mouth.
Well, obviously, I don't have to tell you this, but with Arkham Asylum, we got a little taste of a free roam Batman game, and it was fantastic. And then they opened it up to a giant city. Mm-hmm. And you're just gliding all over the city.
Even though we've had Arkham Origins and Arkham Knight since, neither one of them have been close to how great that game was.
Yeah.
Just because it was, technically it wasn't the first of its kind, but as far as the free roam range goes, it was the first of its kind.
Right.
And it's, to me, Arkham City, you've kind of pinched yourself in a corner now because there's no place else to go but down, in my opinion, for Arkham City. It is the chocolate chip cookie of comic book video games.
Well, wait
There's
till you
nothing
see the
better.
glass of milk.
What?
Glass of milk? No. Never mind.
The overall, like, all the story of it, and with most of those Arkham games, I wish at times that I could just sit down and watch just the story.
If you go on YouTube, you can.
You can, but they cut out all the gameplay mode. But I just wish I could just, like, as a whole, enjoy the story, like, as, you know, an animated feature or something.
Yeah.
Because all the stories, for actually all the games, is so good, but Arkham City especially, because there's much more... There's more twists and turns as opposed to the other games. There's really no twists or turns in Origins. There's really no shockers in Arkham Knight. Like, halfway through Arkham Knight...
Oh, don't spoil it.
I'm not going to spoil it, but you're going to be spoiled here in a little bit, because GameStop is actually releasing figures, and one of the figures is a 110% spoiler.
Oh no, it's who the Arkham Knight is.
Well, I think it does. And I was going to say, I figured out not even halfway through, like, who the Arkham Knight was. It was that obvious.
Oh man. It's not Jason Todd, is it?
It's actually Bill Murray.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, I cannot say enough great things about Arkham City. I don't think either of you two have actually ever played it.
No?
I watched you play it.
You had this disgusted look on your face, like,
I don't know. It just didn't have the kind of freedom that I would like.
what are you talking about?
Dude, you play Fallout. Like, it's not too far off from Fallout.
It's not too far off from, like, a Fallout or Assassin's Creed.
RPG or
It's not an
like
RPG, but it's a free roam.
Yeah, it's a free roam in that you can. It's kind of like
I know where.
Oh, sorry, you
that
can't
symbiote
walk.
game. You can jump around all over the place, but it has no impact
Prototype?
on the world. Prototype,
Yeah.
It just you don't feel like you have the impact on the world that you would on. Say,
You're Batman. You always have an impact on the world.
You're the fucking
Can I go
knight.
on the record saying you guys might be a little biased?
In a free roam world,
Going
it
on record
loses,
saying that you're a dick.
a linear path that video games usually
Yeah.
take to advance a story or characters and stuff. So,
It's free roam in that, like, Grand Theft Auto is
the
free roam.
Spider-Man 2, I absolutely loved. It's one of my top 3 favorite comic book video games, and it's simply because you can just swing around the city. It's so fun to do. After like a long day or something, I would just come home and swing around that city and not do any of the missions or stories or nothing. Not do anything. I would just swing around, listen to people, web things up, and just be, a spider dick, as much as I could.
That's quite a visual.
That's probably a porno.
And,
Oh, jeez.
so yeah, with something like Arkham City, they give you that option of the same thing with Hulk: Ultimate Destruction. They've taken these comic book characters and given them an open world. You can explore their powers as much as you can in a game in that setting, but you don't have to play the game. You don't have to do the story or nothing. You can just run around as your hero and not do anything. And it does get old after a while. And I can see as someone who's playing games for a long time, and you don't want to be forced to have to be Batman or Spider-Man or something to play a game. You just want to get through the game, the story, or same with Grand Theft Auto. It was always for me. I never beat any of the Grand Theft Autos. I maybe played 1 or 2 missions, but every time I sat down to play, I was always just doing the same,
Steal a
juvenile
fire truck and shooting
delinquent
ladies,
stuff. And,
Oh, I have a big thing about going and killing the hookers. I feel like
only the hookers.
Yeah, I feel like I'm doing justice.
They're hard to find in 5.
They are.
Yeah, it's really weird.
He really looked.
I think all that trash they got from back in the day about you can kill a hooker, they're finally like, all right, we'll hide the hookers. They're still there, but you got to find.
Well, you can get the strippers.
That's true.
Tangent.
There needs to be a less, politically correct Grand Theft Auto.
Really?
One of the
you were just saying earlier. We were talking about
it's gonna be a shucking and jiving Asian dude or something if you do that.
one game that I actually, until I started looking at it, I actually completely forgot about how much I loved it, was X-Men Legends 2 Rise of Apocalypse, which is actually honestly the closest I'll ever get to playing a role-playing game. And this one also is kind of right up there too with like Ultimate Alliance stuff, where you get to build your own team. You have multitude of choices. But I remember, I thought I was so smart when I was playing this. I can't remember if it was in actually that or if it was in one of the Ultimate Alliances. It was in one of them where I think you go into hell. And down there is Jean Grey and Nightcrawler, and you have to free one of them. And I was like, well, I think I can couldn't I just free Nightcrawler and then he could teleport and grab Jean? And so I was like,
That's not how video games work.
No, not at all. So
There's rules in this department.
So I picked Nightcrawler and Jean Grey just plopped.
Another X-Men game that got good reviews that I never had the experience to play was the Wolverine's Revenge. Did any of you play it?
No.
No.
I think I was working.
No. About that.
Is that the one where they killed off Nightcrawler?
I have no idea.
Had him exit or something like that. I don't remember what it was. But it was basically bridging the gap of where did Nightcrawler go in X3?
Oh, you're talking about the movies?
Like that's how they bridged where Nightcrawler went. Like he was like, oh well, I have to go somewhere in one of these like
to explain his absence from X-Men 3.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I've never played that. I never played.
This is different from the X-Men Origins Wolverine game.
Yeah, that was the game I thought you were originally talking about. That actually a lot of people really like.
Popped up in my head. I was just thinking about that. I forgot all about it. It came out in 2003 for the X2 movie, X-Men 2.
And it came out before the movie
Mark
came out.
Hamill actually did the voice for Wolverine.
That's bizarre.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, holy crap! I gotta hear this.
Yeah. Pull out an impression right now?
What of Mark Hamill?
I don't.
Mark Hamill as Wolverine.
I'm not gonna insult the man.
Do the Joker saying something Wolverine would say.
I'm not gonna insult the man. I'm not gonna even touch Mark Hamill's joke.
Yeah.
If I know that I can't do it, I'll practice it for like a month and a half, then I'll come back and I'll do it.
So 2 months later, you'll hear that.
Exactly.
Say, listen, Bob. All right, Bob.
Now, Cody, I know you're really big into the Dragon Ball Z fighting games.
The tournament fighting games?
No, I just the later ones I've been playing a lot.
Okay.
Like Battle of Z kind of sucks, but Xenoverse is really good. With you create a character, it's your own Mary Sue, you know.
I heard things, good things.
Mm-hmm. I played. I remember playing like when they first started releasing like the Dragon Ball Z fighting games for PlayStation 2. I got the first one.
They were hard.
I think I got the second one. I don't remember if I got at some point between like the second and the third one. I realized
like
I was
burst
like,
limit or something.
I was like, these are just the same fucking games over and over.
And that's the weirdest thing is that they are just telling the same story.
But people
again.
were buying them.
Yeah,
crazy.
I remember the graphics too, like
kept making them.
mimicked the animation really well.
Yeah, they were,
which was the main draw.
They were cell shaded or whatever, so it looks just like the cartoon. Right. Which they also did in Xenoverse, I think. But so it looks really good. It's basically, and it even takes over like some of the DLC. Of course, they're gonna have DLC. Is like for GT.
That's where I stopped paying attention to all things Dragon Ball related.
Right. Yeah.
I'm surprised, Tony. You have to have another one in your arsenal. There has to be one more that you need to just go.
Oh, of course. And this one should come as no surprise, and it's by default.
By the way,
Budokai.
I just want you to say. Or I just want to say that you're lucky because I almost blurted this out after that Arkham City fiasco.
Oh, I bet you did.
I
was actually waiting for you to say it.
If you were smart, you would have said this. Well, I didn't do it anyways, but you would have said this first, then said Arkham City.
But if I did that, then I wouldn't have been able to get you.
Probably not.
But just out of default, IDW honestly they have a line for these fellas, this group of 4 that has saved New York a couple times.
Cowabunga?
No, not that group. But the Ghostbusters, the real Ghostbusters game.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
That fantastic gem of a game we finally got. With
Closest we'll ever get to an actual Ghostbusters 3.
It was so fantastic.
When did that come out?
2006?
Somewhere around there.
maybe.
It might have been 2007 because I had a PlayStation or Xbox at the time.
Yeah, I had the old Xbox, the loud one.
Yeah.
The 360?
Yeah.
Oh, like the hand vacuum cleaner or something?
Yeah,
sounded like-
the white one.
Yeah.
I remember the biggest selling point for that game was the fact that every single member of the cast came back that was in the game to voice their character.
All the Ghostbusters.
All the Ghostbusters.
Walter Peck.
Yep. And the premise of the game was you were basically you were being trained as a new Ghostbuster. It took place like a year or so after the events of Ghostbusters 2,
Yeah.
roughly.
Wow.
And it was just fantastic because, like I said, it's literally the closest we will ever get to an actual Ghostbusters 3 now. And the only thing I was disappointed about, and I know I told you this before, was I always felt like Bill Murray just kind of mailed it in.
Oh, like he did it separately and mailed the
Yeah, I guess quite literally.
That's how they usually do it.
But
He's
no,
somewhat
like
of a dick. Let's be honest.
I just kind of felt like they had to work around him a lot. Like he wasn't in the game a lot
sure.
at all. If you go back and play it, I mean, there was parts where it was just like so deliberate that they were trying to get him out so he didn't have to record. Like there was the one part where it was quite genius where you're fighting Stay Puft, I believe, and you hear Ray something like Fankman's getting coffee. Fankman's getting coffee right now.
I actually went back and played it last week, and I teared up a little when Harold Ramis started talking, and I was like, "Oh crap! I didn't even think about this aspect when I put this in," and it was so bizarre, even like hearing his voice again. I've watched the movies since he passed away, but that was like a completely different aspect. I think it was like more of that like side haymaker. Like, oh, you forgot about this aspect, bitch.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's still kind of,
fresh.
too soon. Yeah, fresh.
It'll always be too soon.
I've actually went and sold a lot of my 360 games.
What?
Just because I don't really play it
a lot
anymore.
of people do that. That's what games is so.
Because I have Xbox One now, and I don't see any purpose in having a lot of these games, so I use them to get other games for Xbox One. But I just don't have it in me to get rid of the Ghostbusters game, because there's still this part of me that's like, well, what if one day I suddenly get the urge and I want to play it?
Exactly.
So it still sits there proudly, because that game was actually one of the main reasons that I bought a 360.
That was the main reason.
What
I got my 360.
What are some of the worst comic book video games you've ever played? There's got to be a lot of them, because
I don't think
there's
I've actually-
very few good.
I don't think I've actually played many bad ones, but one in particular that I'm going to say I'm not a fan of, that I know this gets a lot of people up in arms. I am not a fan of Marvel vs. Capcom games.
Oh, that was going to be one of the ones I picked that I liked.
I'm actually like the screens for them,
What?
the fights. There's just so spastic, and there's so much going on that it hurts my eyes. It hurts to look at.
To tell you the truth, those games were made for arcades, back in like the 90s and early 2000s, and they, we didn't hear from the series for a long time until, popular demand, and then finally they made one. They made a third one. And,
Sorry. Got a little irpy.
Mike's
I was-
puking in the corner.
to me, that's offensive. That was,
I know. Like I
those
said,
were
I know it's like
very
a
fun game.
it's like a it's like a pissing on the Bible type of deal.
Why is that so funny?
That I just
I just thought about the thousands upon thousands of people like, oh, They really piss on the Bible.
I don't think we have any Southern Baptist people that would.
You never know. I could stumble across it.
But I just every time I've even went back and like watched videos of them on YouTube. There's just so much going on, and it hurts my eyes so much that I'm just ugh.
I guess it's more of a good fighting game featuring some comic book characters than it would be a comic book game.
I always said if you're, prone to seizures, you definitely should not play that game.
Mm-hmm. And it's not like I have a disdain for fighting games. I loved Injustice. Mm-hmm. That was, to me, one of the Mortal Kombat later on really tried to incorporate stories into the game. Never quite caught on too good. They were always pretty bare bones. But the story for Injustice Gods was actually really good, so much so that there's still, I believe, an ongoing comic series focused on this game. And I think they're actually still, hopefully, fingers crossed, we're still going to get a sequel to that.
What was it? They did that Mortal Kombat versus DC thing too.
That was
awful.
That was goofy.
Never
played
it.
Really
Awful.
Goofy.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, we played it. I remember at the Orange House.
Yeah,
right. And
we lived in an orange house. It was weird.
Yeah, it was the Reject Beetle album.
The Orange House.
Or Weezer, whatever way you want to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
That game was very strange. I mean, they were obviously trying to capitalize on. Well, they have Marvel versus Capcom, so maybe we'll do DC versus Mortal Kombat.
Right.
It just didn't pan out too well.
I got a story about the worst a comic book video game I ever played. When I was, I think 12 or 13, it was right after Christmas. I had some Christmas money. Again, I'm a kid. I don't have very much money. I have more money than I do as an adult, but still, I had some. I had just a finite amount of money, and I was looking for a video game, and Wolverine was my hero at the time. He was the X-Men was the popular cartoon and stuff, and so I bought Wolverine's Adamantium Rage.
What?
For that
Sega Genesis.
That does not sound familiar at all.
Hang on, Wolverine for me.
Adamantium Rage. Look it up.
To the internet.
Yeah, it doesn't ring a bell because it was not a good game at all, and it was the most.
Wasn't that the worst part?
Clunkiest game. It made you hate Wolverine after that. It made me hate Wolverine. Yeah, look at that. What the heck?
I think that was the worst part of being a little kid and video games.
Disappointment?
You saved up all your money.
Yeah,
and it's the worst part about being an adult.
Yeah, you bought a game based on a character you love, and you were greatly let down.
You were hurt.
Yeah, it was very painful.
Oh, I remember that game.
It was such a difficult game. The Wolverine definitely was not made out of adamantium in that game because you got killed by the silliest things.
The one game that, before we wrap this up, that I really want to bring up, just because I have so many fond memories of talking about it with you and Jeff, is the X-Men arcade game.
Yes.
The side-scroller. That game was actually really great. Because it was the first arcade game to actually incorporate 6 players at once.
Right, yeah.
And
that was the one that had Nightcrawler that would fly across the screen, right?
I think so.
That was his
He was in a couple one.
Yeah.
He was in a couple of them. But the best thing about that game is the most off-the-wall dialogue, thanks to the bad translation. That game had such gems as
X-Men, welcome to die.
Yep.
It was a very poor translation.
And then there was I am Magneto, master of magnet.
You are dead.
To me, my X-Men. That game, I'm sure that you could go on YouTube and you could probably just find a couple clips from the terrible translations, but that was just Tremendous. Tony is half out of his seat. I think he really needs to go somewhere right now. So I think we need to...
Gotta go bye.
I think we're going to wrap this up. So until next week, I'm Mike.
I'm Tony.
Cody.
I'm Mikey.
We'll see you next time on Kapowcast.